Welcome to the DevReady podcast. Joining me on the DevReady podcast today, I have Justeen Kirk. For those of you that are new here, I have never met Justeen before, so we're diving into this together for the first time. Justeen, welcome to the DevReady podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Well, what I'll do, I'll let you explain who you are and what you do, because there's no way I'll ever do that a good job.
Oh, no worries. So I am the founder and CEO of ISO Matters. We're a small consultancy based in the regions in Wagga Wagga, and we work primarily with small business owners to help them to build some clarity and confidence in their business through systems and processes. So we help them with their framework. It can just be a single process right through to full ISO certification. Just depends on where they are in their business journey and what they need. So I've been doing it for about 4 years on and off, and looking at different ways that we can work with small business in the non-ISO space. So we've got a couple of new products coming to market hopefully this year. One will be helping in a kind of like a doing way. So it's a program where you come and you spend an hour each week over a 12-week period to actually build your process maps and systemize your business. So it's not the theory that a lot of the other programs and all the books give you, it's the actual hands-on doing it. And then the other one is creating a solution for those really small businesses that can't afford consultants to help them with their ISO. So it's kind of like purchasing a document set that, that one size fits nobody kind of approach, but it's kind of like a document set, but we'll be using AI to help them to build that in a way that's really specific and targeted to their individual business. So we'll be doing that as well. So those are kind of the things that we're working on this year and what's keeping us really busy.
I can imagine it would be. It's very important to have your processes and systems in place.
Yes.
Was this a COVID spawned business? Because you said about roughly 4 years.
Actually, it came from trusting someone I shouldn't, and I found myself out of a job.
Okay.
It's kind of the first time in my career that I was unemployed, and luckily we had just sold our house, and so we had some money in the bank, and I just went, you know what? I've been talking about setting up my own business and doing my own thing for a while, and I kind of had no reason to not do that. It wasn't like I had any money coming in, so I kind of just did it. I was really lucky. I put a post out on my LinkedIn just saying that I started the day employed, ended the day unemployed. And someone that I used to work with at Parliament House in Canberra reached out to me and said, hey, I've got a project for you if you're interested. And it was setting up their ISO system. And so I'd worked in organisations with ISO, so I was familiar with it, but I had never actually implemented it. And, I'm a bit of a systems nerd. I actually really enjoyed it. I really love the satisfaction of putting that structure in that helps the team know what they have to do, how to do it. If something goes wrong, all of those flags go up. It's like a big safety blanket. Actually, I often refer to it as bumper bowling. Do you remember bumper bowling?
Yeah.
They put the.
Take my
it's
kids.
like you can kind of bounce down the lane, and then you get to where you need to go. So it's kind of like, I feel like the systems and the ISO that we build is kind of like it's like your bumper bowling. We keep you heading in the right direction, even if you bump up against the sides a bit.
You hit the edges. I like that analogy. I might have to steal that.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? Yeah, I love it.
So what led you to thinking about going out on your own? And was it a process business that you were thinking about, or was it over these years different ideas?
Yeah, so look, I've basically spent 20 years in the construction industry. So a big chunk of that, 7 years of that was delivering projects at Parliament House in Canberra. So pretty tricky place, very interesting stakeholders, and lots of challenges to get through. So I love that job. Change of leadership kind of made me look at something different. And then I moved into the world of private consulting. So out of government, which I've been in for 15 years, and moved back into private enterprise, working for a really large global consultancy firm. And that was awesome. But I just felt like I kind of wanted to do my own thing. So we moved to Wagga with that company and took over the regional leadership of the Riverina region. And it was just through that, like leading a team, leading a geographically dispersed team. I had teams in 5 different regions.
Oh, wow.
And so, you learn a lot about how to run a business. Well, or so I thought anyway. And so I was just kind of thinking, coming through COVID was quite difficult for me. I had my children at home and I was trying to run a geographically dispersed team and still do stuff. So I found that really challenging, and I stepped down out of my leadership role towards the end of, it would have been the end of 2020. I was very burnt out, and I recognized that there was no way I could lead my team effectively to the level that I wanted them to the support that I wanted them to have. So I stepped down. Took 6 weeks off, which was just unheard of, and kind of did some soul searching. And it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could just do this on my own. But I don't know that I ever really was thinking about actually going through with it. But then I said before, I found myself without a job, and I'm like, well, you've been griping about this for ages. Now's the time to just do it. Like, I had nothing to lose. And look, as I said, I got this contract, and it was a very good contract, and it literally gave me all the wrong things on how to manage a business. Like, I literally walked in and I had this great contract that kept me busy for quite a few months. And, I hadn't had to work hard. I hadn't had to refine any of my marketing. I didn't have to have any process or systems. I didn't need anything. I literally just walked in and set my business up, and off I went. So it wasn't your classical, I'm going to start a business and here's all the thinking I need to do it. I even called the name Justeen Kirk Consulting because I hadn't even thought about a business name. So, I honestly just started, and I did all the things that you shouldn't do. Namely, really I focused on, I would do work for anybody within my skill set. So, talk about go as macro as you could possibly go, which we know in business is the complete wrong direction when it comes to finding who your ideal client is and all of that stuff. So I made all these really good mistakes that I learnt from. And as I've been working through the last 4 years, I've been able to share that with small business owners, so other small business owners who are perhaps in a similar position to where I was. And that sort of really identified this passion I have of helping to level the playing field for small business. And the way that I can do that is to help them get their processes and systems in place, and potentially ISO certification for those businesses that want to, sort of operate in that government space. And that's kind of, what my mission is, how can I help me? How can I provide all of the support and that guidance that I never had to other people, so that they can learn from my mistakes and hopefully not follow them? So that's kind of what's gotten me to where I am right now.
And that's a perfect reason for this podcast. It's helping people learn from someone else's mistakes and try and get a step forward. It was a big move to then step down from a leadership position, because you don't generally hear that happening with anyone.
No, I really, really loved what I did. I loved my teams across the regions, but it was just too much through COVID. Like, I just found myself pulled in too many directions. My husband was still living and working back in Canberra on a really large project that he was working on, so he was not home during the week. So it was me and the kids at home. Difficult. Yeah, so it just made it really tricky. And I can remember trying to get the kids working and trying to have all these meetings with the team and keep them going and supporting them, and just literally laying awake at night churning through, how can I help them, how can I support them, what can I do, how do we support our clients? And it literally burnt me out. So it was great that I was able to recognize it and go, I need to step away. But then being the control freak that I am, I didn't like that someone else stepped in and ran the team differently to me. So, it was tricky, and it was a really good time for me to step out. I just would have liked to have not stepped out into obviously an opportunity that wasn't as it was made out to be. So, but, it got me to here. And so whilst it was, unpleasant at the time, it was really lovely to be able to start my own business. And then, 4 years later, here we are, and I'm still loving what I do. Yep. Don't know if the stress is gone though. Like I feel like
it's different stress. When you're running a business, there's different kind of stress. The simplest I can put it is you just have to worry about where the money is coming from.
Correct.
That's the easiest way to describe it.
Absolutely. And all those hats that you have to wear is quite interesting and learning. And I know for a fact that marketing is some kind of voodoo, and anyone that does marketing, that you don't trust them. It's voodoo, I'm telling you. And as an intelligent person, marketing is it's a foreign language to me. Like it's one of those things.
They say there's a process to it, but the process is just the method to put the content out. I don't think there's a process to know what content's going to work. No one does. So you just have to keep making things. That part is unknown. It's just throw things on the wall and see what sticks. That's what our approach is.
Yeah.
Put enough pieces out, something should end up hitting.
Hopefully. So it's one of those things that I was very happy to outsource. So finally, the business has enough cash flow that we can bring someone in to do that. And my whole life is so much happier now that I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Being a process-driven analytical person, that's in conflict to the creative side. It's challenging. I'm very process-driven. I'm creative in solutions, but I'm not creative in like the design, that sort of aspect at all. I understand that challenge.
Good. I'm not the only one.
I'm good at joining dots. I'm not good at creating pictures or content or unique hooks.
Absolutely.
Things.
Yeah. I'm the same. I know what I want to say, and I can't understand why people just don't understand what I'm telling them and why they don't just join the dots.
It's not just that easy. If only it was that easy.
I know. Well, yeah.
What is it about sort of the process of process mapping and structure that you like, or that you focused on there?
I think it's the confidence that it gives you. So when I look back at all those jobs that I've worked for or in my career, the ones that I loved the most were the ones where I knew what was expected of me. I knew very clearly what my role was. I knew exactly the tools that I needed to use in order to get the outcomes that I wanted. So I genuinely believe that everyone goes to work to do the best that they can do. And if we give them the right tools, aka their systems and the processes that help them to do that, it makes them more confident, it makes them more engaged, and it helps them to know exactly what they need to do. So to me, it's a no-brainer. And it does surprise me that a lot of businesses don't have good systems. When you think about how easy it actually is to do them, I think there's this misconception that it's really difficult, or that it's complicated or really time consuming. But with the use of the amazing technology that we have, you can do a Loom video, you can do a Scribe how, you can do so many different things that capture that for you, and you have very little work to do. So I think I'm on a mission to really get that message out there, that if you can take the time to build those systems and those processes, you'll have more engaged, more happy staff, you'll have a higher retention rate, all of those really good things that really slow down businesses and cost them a lot of money. Like recruitment is ridiculously expensive and difficult. And so if you can retain your staff, that's such a win for the business.
Yeah, you'll be in a much better position. It's similar to having clients. Keeping an existing client is much easier than getting a new one, not buying a new one. But yeah, same thing with staff.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Better to keep, and then because it's even more important with staff, because then there's a lot of knowledge that's retained in the business. Doesn't get lost. Nothing's ever 100% documented. I believe. Even if you've got the best systems in the world, there's still knowledge that's in between everyone. And that's what greases the wheels to keep things moving.
Agreed. I agree. And I also don't believe that you should systemize everything either. Like, I think you want your core processes systemized. You want the ones where there's a quality or a consistency that's required. And, you know, people are always going to find the quickest way to do something. So if you've got a process and people aren't using it, then that's also telling you something, because perhaps you've made the process too complicated. Yeah. And so, like, I think there are just some things that people need to have the freedom to do how they want. But if the really important ones are documented, and then they have that freedom to then manage the other things in a way that is natural for them, I think that's a really great happy medium.
Yeah, because if the process is over-engineered, then you're probably spending more time trying to go through all the different steps and scenarios than actually doing the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're losing that. And there's not enough flexibility, and you're never going to cover everything. So then if you go through the 50 different edge cases, and now there's the 51st one, the people won't know what to do. Or
correct, and that takes the thinking away, right? So you don't want your processes to be so rigid that it takes away your staff's ability to think through and problem solve, because you want to give them, again, you know, the bumper bowling, you want to give them the framework around the outside, that they have then the discretion within that, which is still controlled, to then make the decisions that they need to that suits that particular situation. Or if it's a new situation, because we know every client is different. So if it's something new, they can use the context of what the process is there for, or trying to support you for, to then come up with the right kind of answers to help them in that particular situation. You don't want robots. I mean, people don't want to work with robots. You know, your clients don't want your staff to be robots. So you need to have processes and systems that support them, but not dictate, you'll say this and you'll say this, then you'll say this. No one enjoys that micromanagement.
No, and that's also part of the job satisfaction, people actually wanting to do their job and having some challenges. If everything is completely 100% prescriptive and you know everything's going to happen, you don't actually need people to do that.
No, you don't.
And people don't want to work like that either. That's a very boring job in my opinion.
Mine too. I agree.
So what are some key things you can do about setting up those processes before we jump into the ISO, because that's a whole nother kettle of fish. You've got very specific things you have to abide by, but setting up processes in your own business are unique to you for the most part. There's going to be a lot of consistencies, I'm guessing, with other places, but it's your process, it's your secret sauce effectively documented.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually, I think the hardest part is just starting, and it's where do you start? And honestly, it doesn't really matter where you start. So we give our clients a couple of tools to help them, like a framework that helps them to identify and capture their processes. But essentially, you just need to group your processes into categories. So, you know, it might be the system delivery or your service delivery overview. So you start with you might have advertising, sales, nurturing, then sales and onboarding, delivery, your financing, and then your retention and your referral. And it might be that you just put those headings on a whiteboard, and then you just put a name to every of the main processes under each of those categories. And then for me, you can come at those processes in whatever way is a logical flow for you. What we like to do is focus on those areas where you're going to get the biggest bang for buck to start with. And in my opinion, that's in your service delivery, because everything, it hinges on your service delivery. So if you imagine your service delivery, or if you imagine your process map is kind of like a dartboard, service delivery is that center circle, and then you've got all of those supporting processes and systems support that bullseye. And so really my recommendation is have a look at your service delivery, because if you get that right, then everything that flows into it works well. But if you start on the outside and you get your sales working really well, then you're putting clients into a system that's not working particularly well. So that poor founder, he's little feet are paddling like crazy under the water, you're just overwhelming them or your team, right? If you haven't got the right processes in place, you haven't got the consistency. So sending more clients into a system that doesn't provide your consistent outcomes or to the quality levels that you want, or those kind of things, that's a recipe for disaster. So my advice for anyone is to jot down all the different processes that you have. Should be somewhere north of 50 processes, but not all of those are the ones you want to know that you have them. You don't have to document them all.
Yep.
You're probably going to want to document somewhere around 30 to 40 different processes. If you think about delivery in itself, there's probably 10 or 15 just there that are your critical ones. And so then you just start with the ones that are going to give you the most amount of clarity to your team and yourself. And then just document it. So if you use a tool like ScribeHow or Loom, it doesn't matter how you do it. You can literally record yourself doing it and just telling them how you do it, and then you just build a library. And that really just takes you as long as it takes you to do the process, right? So it's not a time-consuming thing. It doesn't have to be this old, you remember your old manuals that had like the screen capture and then you'd have the text underneath? And,
yeah, they were always an optional thing for us. No one likes making them because every time something changes, you have to redo half of it. Correct.
And I think this is a shift that needs to happen. I think that people are still scarred by, that experience, and they don't realize just how easy it is to build a collection of processes that then form your system. And then I think there's also this misconception around the benefits of a process. One of the sort of ways that we help people to really understand that is if we have a process and we can save, let's say, 15 minutes a week off that process. So if it's a service delivery process, it's probably used multiple times a day, several times a week across multiple people in the business, right? So for this example, let's use we say 15 minutes on a process per week, and we have 3 people in the organization that are using that process, and then let's go 10 processes. For those 10 processes, 15 minutes a week, 10 processes, 3 staff members. If you extrapolate that out over a year, and let's say a year is 46 weeks, so 2 weeks public holidays, 4 weeks annual leave, that's 8.5 weeks of time you've saved. Just because you saved 15 minutes on a process that 3 people are using in a week. 10 processes, obviously. So it grows, it snowballs. And if you put time to that, so the average hourly rate in Australia is $47.50. So if you put the average hourly rate on that, that's $16.5, nearly $17,000 just in pure savings. But imagine if you then use that time to, I don't know, maybe one of those months, so 4 weeks you went on a holiday. How amazing would that be? But then the other 4 weeks, imagine if you then did billable work. It's no longer $47 an hour. We're probably up closer to the couple of $100 an hour. So then that $16,000 grows dramatically depending on what you do with that time. So if that's not a motivator to get your processes in order, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it can make a huge difference. I think probably the problem a lot of businesses have is not the documenting the processes; it's making people follow them.
But there's ways of doing that too. It's the people that are going to use the process, get them involved in it. Get them to document it. Like as the owner of the business, you shouldn't be documenting everything. In fact, it's probably the worst thing to do is to document all of those processes, because whilst you may know a lot of it, you also have assumed knowledge in there. And so you'll create a process assuming that everybody knows what you're talking about. But for those people that are new to the organization or don't have your level of knowledge and experience, there might be stuff in there that they just don't understand. So the idea is, start the process because you want to lead by example. You want to show that this is what we're going to do, and then you get your different people in the team, and you'll choose who will do that. But then they start to create those, and then you just talk about it, and you put the accountability in place. And systems and processes isn't just about documenting it. It's about having the control so that you know when things aren't going right. And I think this is what ISO does really well, is it puts in those checks and balances so that you have to focus on the things that are really important to your business. But you can build those in too. And you just start talking about it. So in your team meetings, whether that's a weekly team meeting or a monthly team meeting, you start talking about, and you could probably gamify it, who's created the most processes, how much time is it saving the team. So you can make this a fun or bit geeky, I guess, bit of thing, an activity that you can do. But if the business owner can talk to them about the benefits, like what are those real benefits, so talk to them about that example I just gave about that 15 minutes. And imagine if you're a small business that only has 2 or 3 people in the business and one person wants to take a month off. The other 2 are like, oh my God, how do we cover all of that? What's going to happen? We're down 33% of our workforce. What's going to happen? If you've got really good systems, people can step in. You can bring in a temp. Do people even have temps anymore? But, you can bring in an additional resource. They can come in, and whilst they won't do everything exactly as you need them to do it, at least they'll keep things ticking over and they can support and help. Or someone else can step in and pick up those things, and they know that it's going to be done correctly because there's a system or a process in place. So it's just a matter of bringing your staff on the journey. And that, again, it's not a hard exercise. You just need to be transparent, and you just need to talk about the benefits. And as humans, we're inherently selfish. We want to know what's in it for us. So you got to sell it about these are the benefits that you directly are going to get. You're going to have this clarity and this framework. You know what you need to do. You have all the tools you need to do it. And if you don't, you know that you don't have that tool, so we can get that tool, or we can build it, or we can do whatever we need to support you. And then it also means you don't have the same level of conversations around that this is not where it needs to be, the quality's not right. I've asked you 5 times to do it this way. Why do you keep doing it wrong? Like, it gives you all the tools you need for someone to go in and do their job and be successful in it. And you just need to share that with your team. You will still have people who just point blank refuse to do it. And that's a business decision then about whether they're the right person in the right seat in your business, which is a whole nother conversation. But at least you've got the tools then to manage all of that.
Yeah. And if they are not the right person, you now have, like you said, the tools. You've got a process in place.
Correct.
They're not following it. You've got something, I get what they're going against, not just, you didn't do what we said. Or you're not doing it the right way. And I think it's important. You touched a few things there. So the owners probably shouldn't be writing everything, because initially when you do start, you are on your own. If you can write processes, then it's easier to then maintain when people come in, because you will hand over work, and then they will improve the process and do things, and you will have gaps. You won't understand everything. You'll have cursory top level information, but it's going to be new things will come in place, and you won't understand it. So you'll be writing it wrong.
Yeah.
And then I was going to say, the accountability is very important, because that's the part that keeps the machine turning.
Absolutely. It also helps if something goes wrong, and the client hasn't gotten what they needed or required or wanted, then it's much easier to go back and try and find out what went wrong. And often it's just a step was missed, or something like that. So it does also help to understand what didn't work and why it didn't work. And then that gives you that opportunity then to go, do we need to improve this? Do we need to change this so that it's easier? Or do we put a check in here? So we do a quality check here, which means that we know at this point it's correct, and then we can keep moving back. Because again, as a business owner, you don't want your staff doing rework. No. Rework costs you money. It's dead time. So, you don't want defects, you don't want non-conformances, and you don't want to have to do rework. So if you can put the checks and balances in at the right place, then it's almost like it gives you that point where you come back to. So at this point it was correct. What's happened to this at this next point. And so, yes, it does provide a lot of clarity to a business owner. But the other problem I found is that business owners, we start out as a team of 1, maybe 2, and then you get to the point where you're really, really, really busy and you want to bring on someone, and you can't because you don't have anything documented.
You
And
can do it
that
faster on
person,
your own still.
yeah, but you can't take holidays,
No, you can't do
you
anything then.
can't get sick, you can't do anything, right? So then you become the issue, and you become the bottleneck in your own business. And so if you want to, if you are a founder and you're on this journey, just start documenting your stuff now, because your future self will absolutely thank you when you go to bring on that next person, and then you don't have to try and find the time in your already very super full week to document and have these systems and processes that you can then bring on someone else to help you. Yeah.
Yeah, and every problem is an opportunity to improve the process and make it better for the next time you run
Yeah.
it. And you just keep doing that, and you'll end up having a better process than you ever thought you did.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And your team also have ideas. You don't know everything, even though sometimes we think we do. But our team will often have ideas based on their experience and the things that they've achieved or accomplished. And so this continual improvement allows you to bring in the best of everybody's knowledge and experience to make that your systems really, really well refined and humming along, which means the business can focus on doing. That it can do the doing and the thing that is really important, focusing on that customer satisfaction without worrying how you're going to do it, how do I do it, how is it right, all of that kind of stuff.
Do you suggest that people sort of comply with like the ISO standards? They don't have to certify, but if they comply with them, then they're probably getting the best of both worlds, because they've already taken into account sort of the checks and balances and the structure of what you should be doing and how.
So I love that you asked that question, and just so everyone knows, I didn't prompt, but this is like my favorite question, because if I had my way, a QMS or quality management system would be a mandatory system, just like you have to register your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
A QMS gives you all of the tools you need to run your business in a way that will succeed. So it helps you to focus on the things that you need to focus on. It gives you all of the information. So it's answering the question, you don't know what you don't know. So this is giving you all the tools to put in place so that you do know. And when something does go wrong, up goes the flag. And so you don't have to constantly be on top of everything all the time. So if you're one of those overwhelmed, bottleneck business owners where everything comes through you can step back. So once you put in a quality management system, you can step back and you can use the data to tell you that everything is good or where their problems are. So look, I 100% agree. You can run a management system without it being ISO certified. And in fact, I often talk to my clients around just that, like, what's the purpose of being certified? Because sometimes it doesn't stack up. They're going to spend money on a certified system. It can be a very big cost. They're going to spend that money, and then it's that ongoing compliance. You've got to be audited every year. You've got to achieve it. Whereas if you take the best that ISO has to offer without the certification, you do need to keep yourself accountable. So you need to have that accountability built in, whether that's a business partner, a consultant who comes in and has these accountability sessions. But it gives you all of the benefits of a quality management system without the cost of an ISO. But yes, quality management systems, they really, really help really nail what you need to focus on. And it's all risk-based and it's all client satisfaction-based. So the little processes that you follow really help you to know exactly what your client wants, how you're going to do it, where are the risks, and then if something goes wrong, what do you do, and how do we correct it? So yes, it is definitely benefit to any business owner.
And then longer term, if you do need to get certified for a government contract or whatever it may be, or a large enterprise, it's going to be a very quick transition to go from not being certified to being certified, because you already have that in place.
Correct.
Rather than overhauling the entire business. Absolutely.
And look, the thing I want to say about ISO is that there are a lot of consultants out there that can help you do this. So it's not that it's complicated, it's just that they're very prescriptive in what they want to see. And so you can absolutely do it on your own, and that's fine. But what's really important is that you understand what it is that you're trying to achieve, and you make sure that your consultant builds a management system around where you are and how you work, and not the other way around. Yep. And that is an issue, and this again it's a legacy. So people assume ISO is this really complicated, awkward thing, because historically it's been paper based, and it was, your business had to fit ISO rather than ISO fitting your business. And it's really important that if you are getting a consultant, that you challenge your consultant to build a system around what you're doing, because what you're doing already works. It may need a couple of extra little checkpoints in there, but essentially your processes are there. We just need to strengthen it by having the checks and balances in the right place, collecting the right data, making sure certain things are done. But that's essentially all an ISO system is. It's just making sure that things are done. And in ISO world, you're guilty until you can prove yourself innocent. And what I mean by that is you can say, yes, I do this, but unless you can evidence it with records, then you haven't done it.
Yep.
And it's those records that create the data, which then create the red flags to say, hey, something's not working correctly. So it is a great benefit to a business to have an ISO, but everything that we do is off the back of ISO. So for even our processes and systems, that's using the fundamental aspects of ISO just in a non-ISO way. So
without the maintenance cost of getting recertified. And
correct.
At least you're doing the best practice then, and making something
Absolutely.
that works for your business, that's going to help your business go forward, not just the consultants that are coming in to push it.
Yeah, and it's an investment, and you need to look at it like an investment.
Yep.
And look, I don't know about a lot of other consultants, but for us, because we work primarily with small business owners, we take that process over roughly 12 months. It depends on their cash flow and their time, but we try to build it out over 12 months so that it can come through, it's not this massive cost all at once. So they then pay it over 26 fortnights. So 26 payments, over a year we build it, and we build it using their own systems and processes, and we just enhance it. We also don't use fancy tools. So if you're a Microsoft business, and we'll build it into SharePoint, which is generally what you're using there. It doesn't cost you any more, so you don't have software costs, licensing costs. And if you're not, we use other software like Slab or whatever.
Your approach seems like it's the smart one, which is going to support the business, not force them to change everything, which then is going to be disruptive. And I think that's probably the biggest concern when someone thinks of this stuff. It's the disruption.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's the other cost. So that's what I was saying. Sorry, is that it's the extra costs that are built in that can make it feel out of reach. So one of the things, in keeping with this mission I'm on to support or level the playing field for small business, one of the other things we're building is a tool that's going to hopefully help small business owners to get a quality management system in a way that doesn't involve lots of consultants. So we're looking at how we can do that using AI to support them. So we'll use all of our knowledge to help build an AI that will help them to be able to achieve that, and at a fraction of the cost. A set of templates that you can buy, and you can buy templates readily off the internet. The problem with those are that they're a one size fits all, which means they don't fit any business, they don't suit any business, and you can go away and you can modify them, which is what you need to do. But when you're reading through them, you don't know what's mandatory. You don't know if that's an important part that you're deleting out. And the trick is that, or the caution is that, if you say you're going to do something, so you've had a template and it says you're going to do action A, even though your business doesn't need it. So if you don't do that action, then an auditor is in their rights to give you a non-conformance because you said you were going to do it.
Okay.
Even though you don't need to do it for your business, the fact that you said you're going to do it and you didn't means you're not conforming with your requirement. So this is kind of that. It's kind of a bit of a, I don't know, it's a bit of a risk when you do those templates. So so hopefully what we can do with what we're offering is we take that ambiguity away. So we build you, or the AI will help you build something based on your particular business context, your particular processes, the software systems that you use in your business, and it then helps you to build that. And then you can go away and do it. And so, if the way I can help level the playing field for small business is through in processes and systems is through this tool, which will make it infinitely more affordable, then, that's awesome. Because I would love to see every small business have a quality management system to help them grow. And it'll grow with the business. You set it up once and you just keep refining it and it grows and grows and grows.
And that's something that will be the backbone for how they deliver, which helps them grow and
Correct.
grow in all the different areas.
Absolutely.
Justine, it's been a pleasure speaking to you and understanding the approach and how you bring the process to a business without being disruptive. If anyone wants to find out more or learn more about and maybe get some assistance, how can they do that?
So they can jump on our website, which is isomatters.com.au. And on there is a link to a discovery call, or they can jump onto the Contact Us page. The website has information about all the different things that we offer. It doesn't have any information about our 2 new service offerings, but that'll come up in the next little while. They can also jump on to LinkedIn. ISO Matters has its page. I also have a page. So there's lots of ways. I'm assuming we can perhaps link those.
Yeah, that'll be all in the show notes.
In the show notes, but head to the website. It's probably the quickest way. Book a discovery session. It's free, and we just have a conversation and we find out where you're at and what might be the best option forward.
Like I mentioned, that'll be in the show notes. Anyone reach out and see how if Justine can help you fit your business to the right model, not you changing your whole business to go into the model. So, Justine, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me on an episode of the DevReady podcast today, and thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.